careful that I'm going to have a child that is going to be mentally disabled, physically impaired, and I need to mentally prepare myself for that. This is very serious. They could have ADHD, they could be autistic, down the list of things that could happen and all that fun stuff. But in my mind, I was like, okay, like, I understand the risk, but, like, I'm here, she's still in my belly, like, what are the downfalls of the fact that there's no amniotic fluid within my belly? And right away, the real, one of the core needs, and again, you guys that like work in the field, you can correct me below, but from my understanding, one of the main important reasons for that fluid is actually for lung development. And between the months of, I think it was 16 weeks and 24 weeks, the baby starts actually inhaling and swallowing this amniotic fluid, and it opens up the lungs and the capillaries and all that fun stuff and starts to get them to expand. So when the baby's born, they don't collapse. They're like already expanded and ready to go. Well, my water broke at 20 weeks, so that's about halfway through that whole developmental process. And that was bad, because that meant that those lungs were no longer going to be developing, that they're going to be stuck in time, and when she's born, they're not going to be able to function properly, if at all. So that was risk one. She'll be born, and when she's born, her lungs will give out. And she agrees that was really scary. Right, Coco? So we right away were like, okay, that is awful. What are the long-term effects? Like, really trying to kind of understand. Initially, I have to tell you, they made it seem like it was going to be life-altering. She was never going to be able to keep up with her classmates, this and that. Fast forward to being in the NICU and seeing the way that things were developing, to learn that your lungs, within the first 7 years of your life, actually you're growing new lungs. So you could be born with critically ill lungs, and by 7 have completely healthy lungs. Now that all depends on your biological makeup and all that fun stuff, but it can happen. Again, all I needed was that 1 ounce of hope. That's all I needed. And there was a weird rationale in thinking that way as well, because for me, my pregnancy was super hard. I suffered from, oh my God, I can't think of the name now. When you're sick all the time. Well, I can't think of it. I will write it right here. But hyperemesis. Amy Schumer suffered from it during her pregnancy. I was basically sick, throwing up my entire pregnancy. And again, that's like 1% or like 15% of pregnancies deal with that, which is, well, no, I can't remember now the statistics, because honestly my life was like a ginormous statistic, but it was something like between like 10 and 15% of women suffer from this. When my water broke, 1% of pregnancies, I can't even. Can you stop it? The mailman. Okay, the mailman. Blue's Clues over here, singing the mailman song. But yeah, so, to my mind, I was like, everything the way that it was supposed to go, all the stats, 99% this, I didn't hit any of those. For me, it was always the outlier, always what you wouldn't expect happening to me. So I thought, with her, why would that change? If we went on this pattern, that would mean that everything that they don't expect to happen will happen. And I'm going to go with that belief and that frame of thought. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that if you do that you're going to have the same outcome. I don't know. Like, we also got super lucky. I just know that was my mindset, and that's where I was, and there was no way that they were going to talk me into terminating or thinking about the next one. I was thinking about this one. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. Long story short, they sent me home. I spent 9 days at home. I'm going to post in the comments below. I had a day-by-day diary. I'll post a link to it. I thought it was really interesting, just talking about my thoughts, my hopes, my fears. It was a very vulnerable time where I knew nothing. I didn't have any constant surveillance. When I went to the hospital, they started every 4 hours monitoring her. I didn't have that during those 9 days. So I literally, the thought of carrying her around and her being dead was very much real. I'm not a doctor. For me, I thought, oh my God, she's in there with no fluid, she's gonna die. That was the basis of like what I knew and how, I guess ignorant, whatever you want to call, I was about just the possibilities and what could go wrong and what could happen. And the interesting part that now that I've been through it, seeing how many people are as well dealing with abnormal or really difficult pregnancies, early pregnancies, all that. So that's really why I want to tell this story. Like I said, I spent 9 days at home and then I was put in the hospital, and after 35 days, she came. She came at 26 weeks. She had lung problems, brain bleeds, a slew of issues, but, we're here a year early with minimal delays. She is a miracle, and she is an amazing story about just don't let a diagnosis be your final diagnosis, because it doesn't mean anything. Like, oh, Mama, she slipped. You okay? She's okay. Don't let a final diagnosis, define you, because it doesn't mean anything. They told me she was going to be physically and mentally impaired. She is not. I'm going to show you videos of her, because you have to see her. She's a happy, active baby. She's getting ready to walk. Because of her 3-month delay, she doesn't have teeth yet, and she's 1, but think of her as a 9-month-old. So yeah, that's my pregnancy story. I would love to hear yours. If you've been through something similar or anything, I do want to urge you to not feel like if, let's say, your NICU stay wasn't as long or your hospital stay wasn't as long, that it doesn't mean it wasn't as stressful. Because I constantly have this conversation with people. It doesn't matter if you were in the NICU for 1 day or for 99 days. As a parent, you are now relinquishing all control over your most precious being, little human that you just created, into people's control who you don't know, who you don't trust, and that is stressful. And you don't know the seriousness of the issues that your baby has. A lot of times I actually find it even more stressful when you go home and then you have to bring your baby back, because a lot of times they don't know what's up. They don't have any kind of prep. I always say we were lucky. They were prepping for her. They were talking about her before she was even born. So when she was born, they were ready. They had rolling me into the operating room, because I had a C-section. 20 to 30 people minimum in that room, just getting the room ready, because it was an emergency. So the amount of people that were ready, I almost felt like we were lucky. So I urge you, don't feel like your story isn't as grand or as difficult, or yes, it is. Anything that you went through that felt like it destroyed you, or that it really left you scarred, was hard and was just as hard. So, I empower you to tell your truth, to tell your story. I'm here to listen. I'm here. I want, to start a community. I want moms that are either, even moms that had very easy and easygoing pregnancies, share your story. It's so inspiring and beautiful to see my friends that love being pregnant and that have these amazing, great pregnancies. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean they're not stressful. That doesn't mean they didn't go through periods where they're freaking out. It doesn't mean that they're not going through the same trauma and stress, because at the end of the day, you're creating a human. So, let's talk about it. I don't believe in beautification. I'm not going to put on, makeup and hair. Okay, fine, if you guys start commenting and being mean, maybe, but, I'm just here to be real, to share, and all that fun stuff. Look out, by the way, NICU moms out there, I'm going to do a video on must-have NICU products. There are certain things like swaddles and certain onesies, certain little things that I learned in my 99 days in the NICU that I found, okay, if I would have known, I would have not wasted money on this or that or X, Y, and Z. So stay tuned and let me know, what else you guys are interested in, what you might want to, see more of, nursery tour, learning about Coco, about her process and her journey. We do have a We have her in Birth to 3, a weekly program where we really track everything that she does. We have exercises and goals, and I also have a beefy developmental tracker. So let me know if you guys, I'll share it with you. It's really, really awesome. It really is like a checklist for everything that you need to know development. So if you don't know anything, you can use this and literally just use this. I've even have a tab for activities, what you can do if there are delays, or not even if there aren't delays, just activities to do with your baby during tummy time, because that sometimes can be daunting. So yeah, just easy to consume information for you guys, because I'm not into all that drowning in info online, right? Kisses. Say bye, poops. Bye, guys.